Gurum Jagadekanatham Bhaktapriyam Sakaladokanamaskritam cha Traigunyavarjitamajam Vibhumadhyamisham Vande Bhavagnamamara Siddhavandyam Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Devam Narayanam Natva Sarvadosha Vivarjitam Paripurnam Guruncha Geetartham Vakshyami Leshataha. Hari Shubhodaya. Good morning, everyone. This is the weekly Pratipadartha Chandrika, the room where we look at the word by word breakdown and the meaning of the Bhagavad-Gita shlokas. Today we are resuming the journey from the 17th shloka of the 11th chapter. We have seen till the 16th shloka. Give me one moment. My apologies. Okay. We have seen till the 16th shloka last week. From the 15th shloka, I think it's Arjuna Uvacha, right? Where Arjuna is now expressing what he is seeing as Vishwarupa. Uh, he starts looking at uh, so the story of this chapter is quite simple. Uh, Arjuna starts off asking, "Hey Prabhu, can you show me your Rupa?" Because in the 10th chapter, he kept on explaining, "This is where you can see me, this is where you can see me, this is where you can see me." Right? The 10th chapter was all about in what all different aspects of this manifestation can we think of the Bhagavat? Can we do the Anusmarana of the Bhagavan? That's the question for the 10th chapter. Keshu Keshu cha bhaveshu chintyaha asi he Bhagavan. Right? Now, this is interesting, right? We spoke about this last week as well. From the 7th chapter onward, after the 7th chapter, after the 6th chapter, Arjuna stops asking about, tell me what is Shreyaskara. Now he is looking at higher and higher forms. In the 6th chapter, his question, person who does not accomplish completely the yoga siddhi, having given up the karma siddhi also, doesn't he completely go wasted, oh Krishna? Kachinno bhaya viprashtaha chinna bhravivanashyati, just like a scattered cloud, right? It neither becomes part of a bigger cloud here nor the bigger cloud there. It just disappears in thin air, right? It doesn't rain at all. Neither the yoga siddhi is possible, and that is where Bhagavan starts giving him assurances. No, don't worry about it. And that is what takes us directly into the 7th chapter. There is no special question coming from Arjuna for the jnana vijnana. He explains, like, take shelter under me, you will overcome all of this. Jara marana mokshaya, for the sake of mukti from this jara marana kind of a conundrum, from this old age and death kind of a conundrum. Take shelter under me, you will be freed from everything, right? And and he also mentions one important thing. Te tat Brahma viduhu. They will understand that big Brahma, the big picture called Brahma. Adhyatmam, Akila Karma Viduhu, they will understand all the big actions that are happening. And Kritsnam Adhyatmam Viduhu, they will also understand the details of the Adhyatma. Right? So this Brahma, Karma, Adhyatma, they are very, very important. These are the three fundamental areas of doubt that we all possess. Whenever we feel lost, there are three questions that we can all think of, haunting us. What is all this? What is this big picture? That's one. What is all is happening? That entire karma, akila karma, and who am I? That adhyatma. These are the three key points of ashubhatva that we can all dwell into. And that is where we hear the question. The next question from Arjuna was, what is this Brahma? What is this karma? What is this Adhyatma? Because this is the standard question that we all get whenever we have the feeling of being completely lost. And lost is that momentary lapse of purposelessness, right? The purposefulness. Our life has to be purposeful. At the end of the day, all of this yoga sadhana, yoga upadesha, Bhagavad Gita upadesha is not for a person who is not serious in life. This is for people who are desirous to go higher and higher, reach higher and higher, scale higher and higher, right? That are rukshoho, like, the very beautiful word that Krishna brings at the beginning of the sixth chapter, are rukshoho munehe, for a person who is desirous to climb higher and higher, higher. So this is and Arjuna displays that. Now he is asking, what is that Brahma? What is that Karma? What is that Adhyatma? Krishna explains that. I mean, we will not revisit that again. But after explaining that, right, the higher question that comes from Arjuna, okay, now tell me, in what all different aspects of life can I think about you? Keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyaha asi. Because at the end of the day, Brahma is himself. All the karma is his creation. This Prakriti itself is his big creation. That itself is the supreme action. All that we do is adding to that Prakriti. Prakriti itself is a Prakrishta Kriti. It's a supreme creation. That itself is done by him. And Adhyatma is basically looking at that Brahma Swarupa inside all of us, looking at the Mula Bhuta Swarupa inside all of us. So everything is then him. Now he's asking, now please tell me, Keshu Keshu cha Bhaveshu Chintyaha Asi. That is where we are given the detailed 10th Adhyaya, right? Vibhuti Rupa, the 70 different amazing forms of Bhagavan, but Uddeshatah Proktaha, given to Arjuna in a very, very bespoke manner. Like, that because we see the differences, right? What is told to Arjuna, very similar Vibhuti Rupa we see Krishna giving to Uddhava in something called the Uddhava Gita that comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. These two are two different things. There, it's a different set of things altogether. Like, I think we touched upon that, right? Rudranam Shankaraha is what he told Arjuna, but Rudranam Neela Lohitaha, he tells Uddhava. Ayudhanam Vajram to Arjuna, he says, but Ayudhanam Dhanuhu, he tells Uddhava. There are many, many differences. Like, Purodhasam Brahaspatim, he says Arjuna, but Purodhasam Vasishtaha, he tells Uddhava. There are many differences, but there are allegorical meanings behind all of them. Like, there is a reason why he calls Rama, like Shastra Britam Ramaha. But to Uddhava, he says Tripuragnaha. Shiva is the supreme wielder of the weapons, according to for Uddhava. There are different, like, Yajnanam Japa Yajnaha, he tells Arjuna, right? Japa Yajna, because Japa is the quintessential quality that Arjuna displays. What Janayatam Palayati, the one that gets created, he is a very well protector of it. But for Uddhava, he says Brahma Yajna, Yajnanam Brahma Yajñosmi. Like, so there is a bespoke messaging that Krishna gives to Arjuna about the 70 different Vibhuti Rupas through which he can do the Upasana of the Bhagavan, the Anusandhana of the Bhagavan. He can do the contemplation of the Bhagavan. Now we come to the 11th chapter. Show me that, he says. Okay. And then he says, if I am eligible to see, manyase yadi tachakyam maya drashtumiti prabho, if you think I am capable of seeing all of this, please show me. Krishna says, I will show you, but before that, let me grant you the Divya Chakshu. And now he's been given the Divya Chakshu, which is basically the internal Chakshu. There is no special physical organ that is being granted, but it's an internal purification that happens to Arjuna. And he starts looking at the Vishwarupa. And that is what he explains to us from the 15th shloka. Pashyami Deva. Pashyami Devan Pashyami. I see all the Devas. Tava Deva Dehe. In your body, O Deva. Sarvan Sata Bhuta Vishesha Sankan, and all the other Vishesha Bhuta Rashis. Vishesha is another special word. I think we will do some contemplation on that later. Because there are substances on one side, there are characteristics on the other side. The characteristics and the substances are not always consistently tied to each other. Within the same substances, the characteristics can be different at this point in time, at a later point in time. And the substances can also bring in different characterizations, right? So there are, if we can understand the discernment between substances and the characteristics, the way they change over time, I think that is where the Visheshatva, Visheshesha is the substance and Vishesha is that character, the special character. The special character. So Bhuta Vishesha Sangam, the ones that keep metamorphosizing internally, externally, within, without. There is a constant change that we can see. Sarvan. So there is a huge Vishwarupa of the Bhagavan, which is constantly changing. Sachara with constant change, constant movement, but achara, it is ekatvena stitaha. It is all together. And Brahma, Isha, Rishim, Uragan, all the snakes, all the rishis, all the Chaturmukha Brahma, the Rudra Deva, he is looking at everyone. And Aneka Bahu, Udaravaktra Netram, Aneka mighty, many mighty arms, innumerable, countless arms, basically protective arms, the ones that is dharakatva, the one that who's holding everything, right? He can't hold everything without those many arms. So those many arms I can see, those many udara, whatever is happening, you can digest them. You are the udara, you are the stomach, you are the vaktra, you are the face. Everything is happening on your mouth, on your face. And netra, and you're also perceiving them all. He is the Sakshi. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi. He is the witness. And witnessing cannot happen without perceiving, right? So he is the Netra. Pashyamitvam, I see you, Sarvataha Anantarupam, I see you yourself to be the countless form everywhere. Na Antam, na Madhyam, na Punahatava, Adim Pashyami, I can't see your beginning, your end, nor your middle. O Vishwarupa, O Vishweshwara, O Vishwarupa, he says. Right? That is where. Now, Arjuna is just narrating whatever he is seeing, right? So this is basically not much to break our head down. So that was shloka number 16. I have pinned a link under the room title that will take us directly to the next shloka. That is what we are about to see today, right? Shloka number 17. Harihi Om. Sudhaji, would you like to read? Are you in good space to do some reading of the shlokas? Sudhaji, I didn't hear you. Okay, maybe I can't hear the voice. Maybe I'll do the reading myself. Hari Om. किरीटिनं गदिनं चक्रिणं च तेजोराशिं सर्वतो दीप्तिमन्तं पश्यामि त्वां दुर्निरीक्ष्यं समन्तात् दीप्तानलार्कद्युतिमप्रमेयम् किरीटिनं गदिनं चक्रिणं च तेजोराशिं सर्वतो दीप्तिमन्तं पश्यामि त्वां दुर्निरीक्ष्यं समन्तात् दीप्तानलार्कद्युतिमप्रमेयम्. So this website has a beautiful structure. Scroll down a little bit. It has a section called Padacheda. The words are split, right? Kiritinam, Gadinam, Chakrinam, Cha, Tejo Rashim, Sarvataha Deeptimantam, Pashyami Tvam, Durnirikshyam Samantat, Deepta Anala Arka Dyutim Aprameyam, Deepta Analarka Dyutim Aprameyam. These are the different words. There are a couple of sandhis also. Sarvataha Deeptimantam become Sarvato Deeptimantam. There are Tejaha Rashi, Tejo Rashi. So there are few sandhis. Deepta Anala, Deepta Anala, Anala Arka, Anala Arka, Deepta Anala Arka. So that's one word, but has three different things. Deepta Anala Arka. So there are some sandhi compounding of the words that happen, right? Now, when this split words, when they are put into a proper sentence, that is where we see something called the Anvaya. The section right above Padacheda is where all these words have been laid out in a beautiful sentence, prose format. That says, Hey Krishna, Tvam Kiritinam, Gadinam, Chakrinam, Tejorashim, Sarvataha Deeptimantam, Deeptanararka Dyutim, Dyutim Durniriksham Samantat Aprameyam Cha Pashyami. The verb is the one, Pashyami. Tvam Kiritinam Pashyami, Tvam Gadinam Pashyami, Tvam Chakrinam Pashyami, Tvam Tejo Rashim Sarvataha Deeptimantam Pashyami, Tvam Deeptanadarka Dyutim Durniriksham Aprameyam Samantat Pashyami, he says. Right? Pashyami, he sees. Pashyami is I see. Tvam is you. What kind of a you? Those are the adjectives. Kiritinam, you are Kiriti, you are Gadina, you are Chakrina. What does that mean? We will see. We click on this link called dictionary on the top, right? Tvam, you, to you or you. Tvam pashyami, I see you. Who is Kiriti, who is crowned, who is Gadina, armed with the mace, the Gada, Gadadhari. Chakrinam, holding the discus, the chakra. Tejo Rashim, like a luminous ball of light, ball of energy. Tejo Rashim, like a luminous mass of energy. Sarvataha Deeptimantam, having an encompassing blaze, blazing all sides. Sarvataha Deeptimantam, glowing every side. Deepta Anala Arka Dyutima Prameyam. The Deepta, the lit, Anala, the Agni, the Arka, the arc, no, the arc, and the Dyuti. Dyuti is basically the sun. Durniriksham, very difficult to digest, very difficult to gaze, very difficult to discern, hard to discern. Dur niriksham. Samantat, from all sides. Samantat. Aprameyam, without any prameya, without any comparison, incomparable, immeasurable. Chapashyami. Right? I see you who is Kiriti, who is well decorated. Decorated with what? Decorated with this entire Jagat. The entire Jagat itself is an ornamentation for him. Gama Vishwacha Bhutani Dharayami Ahamujasa. He wears all of us like an ornament. He wears all of us, all of these things, all of the planets. Sutre Manigana Iva Proktaha. Mayi Sarvamidam. Sutre Manigana Iva Protam. Like, the entire universe is like a beaded garland for him. Like, he is wearing it all. That's why he is Kiriti, well adorned with a diadem, the crown, but that is the crown. So basically, where Sanjaya says, Aneka, Abharana Bhushita, like he says that, um, what is the word that Sanjaya says? Aneka Divya Bharanam, Divya Abharanam. Like, the Upalakshana of this entire Divya Abharana is that Kirita. The Kirita is basically signifying all the ornamentation. Basically, the one who is wearing the entire Jagat as his ornament. He is the Kiriti. Gadinam, Gada, we all know Gada. But when we look at the Amara Kosha, Gada signifies the Shabdatmaka. Like there is a Shabda Rupa in it. There is sound in it, right? So Gada Chakra, Chakra is Kru Dhatu. There is a Karya, wielding the discus. Chakrati, there is a Kriya Pada, the Kru, right? Cha Kru, the word breakdown. So in essence, what we can think of is like, Chakra Gada are signifying the Rupatmaka Prapancha and the Shabdatmaka Prapancha, right? Shabdatmaka prapancha is more of a manasika prapancha, the way we see, the way we describe. Sometimes a person who goes to the moon can come and describe to us who have never stepped into the moon as to what this moon is. His experience is the Rupatmaka experience. He had a live experience. But what we hear about the moon through him is the Shabdatmaka. Now, suddenly somebody then shows us the picture of the moon. Then we get a glimpse of the Rupa, but we know more about the moon only through what we have heard. So, there is a Shabdatmaka, all the scriptural study that we do. They're all Shabdatmaka, they are all window to the Shabdatmaka. So, the Gada, which is also held in the left hand side, right? Gada is held in the left hand side, and Chakra is held in the right hand side of the Bhagavan. And when we look at our body also, the mind body coordination, the left hand side is where the creative, the thought process is very, very strong, right? And the right is more to do with action, dexterity, skill. All of these things come on the right side. So Chakra, Gada are in essence showing the Shabdatmaka Prapancha and the Rupatmaka Prapancha. And Tejaha Rashi, the ball of energy he is, Sarvataha Deeptimantam, glowing in all sides, glowing or blazing in all sides. Deepta Anala Arka Dyutim. Now, Anala is basically the ball of fire. And glowing higher and higher and higher, that becomes the Arka, right? And Dyutim, like, that becomes the light, the bright light. So, Arjuna can see that blaze, going higher and higher and higher and deeper, stronger and stronger, and kind of, encompassing the entire universe. That's where it becomes the arc, and then it is glowing it all. And this entire light is durniriksham. It is difficult for me to see this in entirety. Samantat aprameyam, from all sides, from all angles, from all different ways. You are durniriksham and you are aprameyam, without another measure, without another comparison. I can see that. So basically, these are all Arjuna's expressions of what he sees through the Vishwarupa, right? Uh, what does Aurobindo interpretation say for this? We see that in the main page of the shloka, the bottommost, under the Padacheda, we come, Sri Aurobindo interpretation. I see thee crowned with thy mace and thy discus. So basically, I see you crowned and with your mace and with your discus, with your Gada Chakra. And those are all again allegorical, right? Hard to discern, Durniriksham, because thou art a luminous mass of energy on all sides, Sarvataha, Deeptimantam, Deeptan, Alarkadyutim, like, an encompassing blaze, a sun, bright fire, bright, immeasurable, Deeptan, Alarkadyutim, Aprameyam, immeasurable, incomparable. Aprameya. Prameya is that comparison or the thing, and Aprameya is incomparable, immeasurable. That's basically what Arjuna is. So this is basically Arjuna's expression, right? What he is telling. But in those words, one thing that we need to notice, we have to look for the allegorical significance in everything, right? Because when Krishna told that, Pashya Adityan, Vasun Rudran, what is Aditya? Aditya is, there is a tattva, the Vishnu tattva. Adityanam aham Vishnu. No, Vishnu is basically Vyapakatva, Sarva Vyapta. Aditya is basically, when he says Pashya Adityan, see my, all pervasiveness, like, the infinite pervasiveness. Because Aditya, in Aditya, the Vaibhava is basically Vishnu Tattva. Vishnu basically means that Sarva Vyapta Nirlipta. Like, that's the Vishnu Tattva. Pashya Adityan, Vasoon. No, Vasoonam Pavakaha. Agni. Agni is basically Agra. Agratvat Agni. I am the forerunner among all the Vasus. So when he says Pashya Vasun, when Arjuna is looking at the Vasu, he's basically looking at the Agratva, because Agratva is what he described in the 10th chapter. So we have to somehow make a bit bigger sense of what exactly Arjuna is seeing. So we will see both the illustration, the physical illustration, the graphical illustration, but we will also try to scratch the surface and see what exactly is Arjuna realizing in that sight. Right? So with that, we move on to the next shloka, shloka 18. On the top right of the page, the next will take us to the next shloka. The shloka reads like this. Tvamaksharam paramam veditavyam Tvamasya vishwasya param nidhanam Tvamavyayah shashvata dharma gopta Sanatanastvam purusho mato me. Tvamaksharam paramam veditavyam Tvamasya vishwasya param nidhanam Tvamavyayah shashvata dharma gopta Sanatanastvam purusho mato me. When we do the Padacheda, right? When we scroll down a little bit, when we do the Padacheda, we get Tvam Aksharam Paramam Veditavyam Tvam Asya Vishwasya Param Nidhanam Tvam Avyayah Shashvata Dharma Gopta Sanatanaha Tvam Purushaha Mataha Me. So there are quite a few sandhis, right? Tvam Avyayah Shashvata Sanatanaha Tvam Sanatanastvam. That's one sandhi. Purushaha Mataha Purusho Mataha Mataha Me Mato Me. So there are a few sandhis here. But nonetheless, when we put them, when we unjumble these words into a proper prose order, we get the Anvaya, right? The Anvaya reads like this. Tvam Paramam Aksharam Veditavyam Tvam Asya Vishwasya Param Nidhanam Tvam Avyayah Shashvata Dharma Gopta Tvam Sanatanaha Purushaha Me Mataha. So now he is telling his opinion, Me Mataha, my opinion. My opinion is, he tells, what does that mean? In the dictionary, we click on dictionary. My opinion, my Me Mataha is Tvam paramam aksharam. You are the supreme akshara. What is supreme akshara? We get to hear that from Bhagavan, right? Paramam aksharam Brahma is the Parabrahma. Because Parama Akshara is basically Parabrahma, right? Tvam Paramam Aksharam, you are the supreme immutable Parabrahma. You are the Veditavyam, Vedyam Pavitram Omkara. You are the worthy of being known. The only thing to be known, to be learned in this entire Jagat is you. No, Ved are the worthy of being known. The only thing to be known, to be learned in this entire Jagat is you. No, Vedam Pavitram Omkara Ruksama Yajurevacha, he says in the ninth chapter, he explains, I am to be known, I am the Ruk, I am the Sama, I am the Yaju, I am the Pranava, everything is him, right? At the end of the day, whatever has to be known in the world is Bhagavan. We might call it as I am learning AI, right? I'm this AI is basically helping me understand a little more of that Bhagavan. I might say I am learning coding. That coding is also helping me know a little more about the Bhagavan. Some might say I am learning metallurgy, but in that metallurgy, I am only learning a little more about the Bhagavan. I might say I am learning how to lead a normal grihastha life, but that is also a way to know a little more about Bhagavan because all of this is Bhagavan. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. So Arjuna is now getting into that realization in what he is seeing through the Vishwarupa, Me Mataha. In my opinion, you are that Parama Akshara Parabrahma, you are the Veditavyam, you are that is everything that there is to be known. Because I might know few different materialistic bodies, but they are all leading to you. Tvam asya vishwasya param nidhanam, you ultimate resting place for this entire universe. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam. He is the Nivasa Sharanam Sahat. Right? He is the ultimate resting place. He is the ultimate abode. Param Nidhanam, you are the foundation and the abode. Tvam Avyayah. So whatever Krishna explained in 8th, 9th, 7th chapters, 10th chapter, Arjuna is able to recount all of them through what he is seeing and he is repeating them back. Tvam Avyayah Shashwata Dharma Gopta. You are the immutable. Avyaya is immutable. Na Vyeti doesn't change, right? Avyaya Shashwata Dharma Gopta. You are the eternal guardian, custodian of the Dharma. Dharma Gopta, Shashwata Dharma Gopta. Tvam Sanatanaha. You are that sempiternal, like semi-paternal, like you are the eternal. You are the Sanatanaha. Purushaha Mataha. Me Mataha. You are that supreme Sanatana Purusha, Adi Purusha. Tameva Chadyam Purusham Prapadya is what we say in the 15th chapter going forward. You are that primordial being. You are that eternal Purusha. Basically, this is something that Arjuna is recounting through his Vishwarupa Darshana. Right? Let's see what Aurobindo interpretation says for this shloka. Thou art the supreme immutable whom we have to know. Thou art the high foundation and abode of the universe. Thou art the imperishable guardian of the Dharma, Shashvata Dharma, of the eternal laws. Thou art the sempiternal soul of the existence. Sanatanaha Purushaha. Right? Now, this is basically recounting of everything that was taught by what he saw. Right? He is confirming all of that. So, where he says, I am that Brahma, Karma, Adhyatma, that is true. Where he says that, I am that Akshara Brahma, Karma, he explains all of these things and he goes on to explain how, through the bhakti, in the entire ninth chapter, how to do the Anuchintana, Anusmarana of the Bhagavan through bhakti. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Janaha Paripasate. All of that is true. And through every single object around us, we can look at the Vibhuti Rupa of the Bhagavan. Because there is no end to his Vibhuti Rupa. Na antihi antaha asti mama Vibhuti na no parantapa, he says. But whatever was told is only because of a uddesha. And in all of these, right, finally when Arjuna asks, show me that, he is able, when he sees them live, He is able to recount all the teachings that were told in the 7th chapter, 9th chapter, 10th chapter. Okay, now we move on to the 19th shloka. Anadimadhyantamanantaviryam anantabahum shashisuryanetram pashyami tvam deeptahutashavaktam swatejasa vishwamidam tapantam. Right? So now he says, Adhyantamanantaviryam anantabahum shashisuryanetram pashyami tvam deeptahutashavak swatejasa vishwamidam tapantam. What does the padacheda give us? Anadi, madhya, anantam, ananta, viryam, ananta bahum, shashisurya netram, pashyami tvam deepta hutashavaktam, swatejasa vishwam idam tapantam. Not many sandhis in this shloka. We will see quickly what the unjumbling of these words will give us, right? The prose order, the anvaya. Anadi, madhya, antam, anantaviryam, anantabahum, shahisurya netram, deepta hutasha vaktram, swatejasa idam vishwam, tapantam tvam pashyami. Right? So tvam pashyami has been continued as the single most activity that is happening. I see you. Tvam pashyami is I see you. What kind of a you that I see? That comes in the details, right? We will see the dictionary, right? Tvam pashyami, I see you. Who is anadi, madhya, ananta? Without adi, madhya, anta. Without adi, madhya, anadi, madhya, and ananta, without an end. You are endless. You don't have any middle. You don't have any beginning. Anadi. Anadi can also be looked at in multiple different ways. Anasya api adi, we say. Right? That's something that we saw in the 10th chapter. Anasya api adi is you are also the beginning of the life. Ana is basically prana. Pra ana is prana, right? Prakrishta ana. The supreme ana, the supreme breath is the prana, the mukhya prana, the Vayudeva. Ana is basically life. You are the beginning of the life, but you are also without a beginning yourself. Anadi. Without any madhya, without any anta. You are without beginning, you are without end, without any beginning. Continuing from what we saw from the previous shloka. Na antam na madhyam na punah tava adim pashyami. Because he's unable to see anything. He is anadi, without any madhya, without any anta. But this is also very, very logical. See, when this entire universe is infinitely spread, what is madhya? What is the center of the universe? Any point in an infinitely spread plane can be the center, isn't it? Right? In an infinitely spread plane, any point in that plane can be the center, which means there is no specific madhya. Any point is madhya, and this is not a jagat, which was created at one point in time. As we speak, there is creation happening. As we speak, there is laya happening. Some cells in my body is getting regenerated. Some cells in my body is getting perished. This sarga is not a sarga. It is a visarga, vishishta sarga, vikrishta sarga, vividhata sarga. So when he says there is no beginning, any point is beginning, any point is end, any point is madhya. That's another way of looking at it, right? Because the entire thing is so infinitely spread. There is no beginning, there is no middle, there is no end for you. That's the expression coming from Arjuna, right? Ananta Viryam, infinite virya, infinite force or infinite retas. Virya can also be the retas, right? The one that really brings in the jiva rashis. He has infinite virya, that can spring as many new jiva rashis as possible, as many new jada padarthas as possible. Ananta virya, he can create endlessly, right? He is the Ananta virya, the infinite force. Ananta bahu. Two shlokas ago, we saw Aneka bahu, Udara Vaktra Netram, right? Now he says Ananta Bahum. Now that's where we cautioned ourselves that Aneka, Ananta. Little later he says Bahu, many. And towards the end, he does one Upasamhara, one final debriefing, right? Where he says Sahasrabaho, Bhava Vishwamurti. So this Ananta, Aneka, Bahu, Sahasra, they're all same. They're all infinite. And Ananta Bahu, infinite arms. Why is he repeating that? See, when we look into the Artha Chintana of the Vishnu Sahasranama, right? Vishwam Vishnu. This entire Vishwa and Vishnu, they both are in the same Vish Dhatu, right? The pervasiveness. But Vishwa is basically the physical pervasiveness, Desha, right? But Vishnu is pervading in two more dimensions, Kala and the Guna. Among all the timelines, also he is pervading. And among all the characteristics, the behavioral characteristics, the traits, also he is pervading. At the end of the day, all the traits are also him. So Arjuna, I mean, I'm just jumping the line. This is the second time he says, but the third time also will come. So three times he says Bahu. Once he says Aneka Bahu, Aneka Udara Vaktra, Ananta Bahu Udara Vaktra Netra, and then Bahu Bahu Udara Vaktra Netra. We will see that Bahu. Basically, at one point he is describing the Deshatita Guna, right? On the other side, he is looking at explaining the Kalatita Guna, Kalatita Vyaptatva of the Bhagavan. And the other front, the third time, I think it can be the Guna, right? Gunatita Vyaptatva. So, Deshatita Vyaptatva, Kalatita Vyaptatva, and Gunatita Vyaptatva. So, three different dimensions is what we need to perhaps look at. That's why we see this Aneka Bahu, Bahu Bahu, Ananta Bahu in three different shlokas that is coming, right? But because now he is telling Anadi Madhyantam Ananta Viryam, Swatejasa Vishwamidam Tapantam, we can perhaps equate this to be, the Kalati Tattva. He is without any end, like, without any beginning. He is endlessly spread out. Shashi Surya Netram, for whom Shashi and Surya are the Netras, right? But Netram is if Shashi and Surya were to be the eyes, having suns and the moons for one's eyes, it should be Netre, it should be Dvivachana. But he says Netram, one eye which has both Shashi and the Surya, right? Now, Shashi is that happiness, the provider of happiness, and Surya is that Pratapi, Ugra Pratapi. He is the one who provides that energy. Maybe we can look at that way, like, the netra, his perceptory organ, is fueled by the Pratapa Rupa and the Prashanta Rupa. There is both. The Shashi is more Prashanta Swarupa, and Surya is more of a Pratapa Swarupa, right? So a combination of both the Pratapa Swarupa and the Prashanta Swarupa coming together, that makes him the Shashi Surya Netram, singular, one Netra, having both moon and sun, or the qualities of that moon and sun within him. Deepta Hutasha Vaktram, having a face of blazing fire, because Vaktra, his face, Brahmana Mukhe, Brahmano Mukhe, Evam Bahuvidha Yajna Havitata Brahmano Mukhe. This Brahma's face is where all the activities of this life are happening. And that is where they are all blazing fire. This all the life activities. I mean, we might be having a discussion in Clubhouse, but this point is the Brahma's Mukha. Somebody might be playing a cricket match, the IPL game is going on, but that is also Brahma's Mukha. All the various yajnas that are happening in this world, in this universe and beyond, everything is Brahma's Mukha, Brahma Vaktra, and Deepta Hutasha Vaktra. Because yajna is happening, these are Deepta Hutasha Vaktra. And Swatejasa Vishwamidam Tapantam, through his own Tejas, this entire Vishwa is Tapantam, is doing tapasya, or is perspiring. Tapantam is ever burning up, is Tapantam. And that kind of a Twam Pashyami, I see you in that fashion, right? So basically, whatever we heard in all the previous shlokas about the Bhagavad Swarupa, the way Bhagavan himself explained, by the sight of the Vishwarupa, Arjuna is able to recount all of them and give it back. He is ascertaining the same, he is confirming the same. Right? What does the Aurobindo interpretation say for this shloka? I behold thee without end or middle or beginning, of infinite force, of numberless arms. Thy eyes are suns and moons. Again, beautifully, there are no one sun and one moon, right? There are many suns and many moons. There are many Pratapis and there are many, many Prashanta Swarupis, okay, of the Bhagavan's Rupa. Thou hast a face of blazing fire. Face is the field of the yajna, and thou art ever burning up the whole universe with thy flame of energy, with the flame of thine energy or thy energy. Again, these are all difficult words. I do, but I behold you without end or middle of beginning, of infinite force, of numberless arms. Your eyes are suns and moons. You have a face of blazing fire, and you are ever burning up the whole universe with the flame of your energy. I think that's more simpler English. Okay, basically recounting, right? So with that, we move on to the next shloka, shloka number 20. It reads like this. द्यावा पृथिव्योरिदमन्तरं हि व्याप्तं त्वयैकेन दिशश्च सर्वाः दृष्ट्वाद्भुतं रूपमुग्रं तवेदं लोकत्रयं प्रव्यथितं महात्मन् द्यावा पृथिव्योरिदमन्तरं हि व्याप्तं त्वयैकेन दिशश्च सर्वाः दृष्ट्वाद्भुतं रूपमुग्रं तवेदं लोकत्रयं प्रव्यथितं महात्मन्. हे महात्मन्. So padacheta. Dyava prithivyoho idam antaram hi vyaptam tvaya ekena dishaha cha sarvaha drishtva adbhutam rupam ugram tava idam lokatrayam pravyathitam mahatman. There are a few sandhis, but we will put these split words into a proper sentence. Anvaya. He Mahatman, Dyava Prithivyoho idam antaram sarvaha dishaha cha ekena tvayahi vyaptam. Tava idam adbhutam ugram rupam drishtva lokatrayam pravyathitam. So two sentences, right? One is vyapta, one is pravyathita. He Mahatman, who great spirit, great Atma, Maha Atma, Mahatcha Asau Atma. Atma, again, I think we heard that multiple times, right? Sutaji gave that thing coming from Mahabharata, Yada Datte, Yacha Atti, the one that is receiving everything, one that is pervading everything, one who is enjoying everything. That's the Atma. There are multiple deeper meanings of that. Hey Mahatman, and he is the mighty Atma. He is the Mahatma. He is mightily spread everywhere. He is mightily taking everything. He is mightily enjoying everything. He is the one. If something nice is happening here, the ultimate enjoyer of all of these activities are him. Right? That's why he is Mahatman. Dyava Prithivyo, of the Dyau and the Prithvi, of the Dyau Loka, Divi Loka and the Prithvi Loka, of the heaven and the earth, right? Idam antaram, the space in between the Divi Loka and the Prithvi Loka, sarvaha dishaha, and all the quarters, all the directions cha also, ekena tvaya hi vyaptam. Ekena tvaya, by your one amsha, by just one glance of yours, it's completely occupied. This is something that we hear in Purusha Sukta and all, right? Sabhumim Vishwato Vrutva, Atyatishta Dashangulam. He is just encapsulates, all encompasses the entire universe and he goes beyond also. Padaha Asya Vishwa Bhutani, Tripadasya Amritam Divi, the entire universe is just one pada, one quarter of his of this Virata Purusha. So idam antaram dyava prativyoho sarvaha dishaha cha tvaya ekena hi vyaptam. Just occupied by your one single glance. No, vyaptam. Tava idam adbhutam ugram rupam drishtva. You know, your this adbhuta ugra rupa, having seen this ugra adbhuta rupa of yours. Ugra is fierce, right? And adbhuta, astounding, astonishing, vismayakara. Rupam drishtva lokatrayam pravyathitam. This all the three words are pravyatita, prakarshtanat vyathita, vyatha. Yatha is the pain and the suffering, right? Yatha is also the disturbances, right? Yatha is also that lost kind of a lost in transit kind of a thought. Prakrishta, like the very topmost form of Yatha. Like the whole world, is in disturbance, is disturbed. Like the whole world is heavy. Looking at your Ugra Rupa, Drishtva, and Pravyatitam Lokam Lokatrayam Pashyami. Now, Pravyatitam, like the world, I see that having that I am now seeing your Ugra Rupa, and in this Ugra Rupa, I see that all the three words, the Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, the three words, the Bhuta, Bhavya, Bhavishya, like all the three words, whether we split it horizontally or vertically, all in any different ways. Om tat sat, that's another way of looking at the three words, right? Om is the scriptural word, tat is the reality word, and sat is the idealistic word, right? So there are different ways in which we can look at the three loka, like either from the timeline perspective, bhuta bhavya bhavat, we can look at that. From the levels of spiritual upliftment, bhu bhuvaha suvaha, we can look at that way, or in multiple different ways. All the three loka, in this three loka, I see pravyatita lokam pashyami. Having seen your, so basically, the, the entire thing is encompassed by you within your small amsha. Vishtabhyahamidam sarvam ekam shena sthito jagat. Like, and that's what he tells in the end of the 10th chapter, and he's able to recollect that. He's able to see that. Arjuna is able to see that. Not only see that, in that he also sees that the entire world is in deep distress. They are all running here and there. They are all heavy. They are all worked up. Like, that's the kind of a pravyatitam depiction that Arjuna is seeing. What does the Aurobindo interpretation say? The whole space between the earth and the heaven is occupied by you alone. When is seen this, when is seen this your fierce and astounding form, the three worlds are all in pain and suffer. O mighty spirit, O mighty Atma. Oh, when is seen this by the, okay, will the world see this Vishwarupa of his? Maybe not. He is looking at it. But having seen your Vishwarupa, I can see that the world is in pain and suffering. So that's Arjuna's version, right? Maybe we can look at it that way also. Again, not to cancel any Bhagavata's interpretation, because Aurobindo, any great Bhagavata, they have their own way of looking at it. I'm also trying to help it myself in my alignment of thoughts, because there is a certain way in which we are looking at the meaning, but not to cancel the interpretation of Aurobindo, right? So looking at the entire universe, all I can see is that you have captured the entire space between the Divya Loka, the heaven, and the Prithvi Loka with your one Amsha. And having seen this Vishwarupa, Ugra Rupa of yours, all I can think is this entire Lokatraya is Pravyatita, is deeply engaged, engrossed, disturbed, heavy, running here and there. Okay, that we move on to sloka number 21. अमीहित्वां सुरसङ्घा विशन्ति केचिद्भीताः प्राञ्जलयो गृणन्ति स्वस्तीत्युक्त्वा महर्षिसिद्धसङ्घाः स्तुवन्ति त्वां स्तुतिभिः पुष्कलाभिः. अमीहित्वां सुरसङ्घाः विशन्ति केचिद्भीताः प्राञ्जलयो गृणन्ति स्वस्तीत्युक्त्वा महर्षि सिद्ध संघाः स्तुवन्ति त्वां स्तुतिभिः पुष्कलाभिः. What does the Padacheda give us? Amihitvam surasanghaः vishanti केचिद् भीताः प्राञ्जलयः गृणन्ति स्वस्ति इति उक्त्वा महर्षि सिद्ध संघाः स्तुवन्ति त्वां स्तुतिभिः पुष्कलाभिः. So in that Ugra Rupa, where he looks at the world as Pravyathita, what is he seeing? Right? He is seeing different things. What does that mean? we will see the Anvaya. Ami hi surasangha tvam vishanti. Kechid bhitaah pranjalayah grinanti. Maharshi siddha sangaha swasti iti uktva pushkalabhi stutibihi tvam stuvanti. Now he's seeing different activities within this Ugra Rupa, where the world is pravyathita, where the world is deeply engaged, engrossed, running here and there, in agony, pain, suffering, happiness. All of this are happening. In that, he's now giving a little more graphical details of what he's seeing. Ami, those, he, Surasangha, very Surasanghas, the companies of gods, Tvam Vishanti, they enter you, they are entering you, they have entered you, they are inside you. Surasanghas have Vishanti, they have entered you. Kechit Bhitaha, some who are afraid, Bhitaha, Pranjalayah Grananti, with folded hands they adore you. And Maharshi Siddha Sangha, okay, those companies of the great Maharshis and Siddhas, they Swasti iti Uktva, having, constantly uttering Swasti, Swasti Prajabhyam, Paripalayantam, we say that, right? Swasti iti Uktva. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषः. We say that, right? Swasti is always something, su asti, like, let good happen, let good be there. Su asti is what we say, swasti. May there be peace and weal is the healing of the wound, right? Swasti, su asti, iti uktva. So that's why most of the mangala we keep saying swasti, 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 swasti rastu, like, we say that, right? Swasti it uktva, having spoken, uttering the words of swasti, swasti, these Maharshi Siddha Sanghas, they keep saying swasti pushkalabhihi stutibihi, with exuberant stutis. Tvam stuvanti, they praise you, right? So this shloka is reminiscent of that eighth chapter. In the eighth chapter, Bhagavan, in the process of detailing out the Brahma, uh, you know, uh, he says, Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti, Vishanti Yadyatayo Vitaragaha, Yadichantu Brahmacharyam Charanti, Tatte Padam Sangrahena Pravakshi. So when he is explaining the Brahma, the Parabrahma Swarupa, he explains that Parabrahma who the Veda Vidas always talk about, like Maharshi Siddha Sangaha, Swasti iti uktva, Stutibhi Pushkalabhi Tvam Stuvanti, they keep praising you, they keep talking about you. Veda Vidaha Vadanti. Vishanti Yad Yataiha Vitaragaha, the ones who have overcome all types of raga, dvesha, vitaragaha, Tvam Vishanti. That is the, the Sura Sanghaha. The Sura Sanghas are basically overcome the fear, Vitaraga. Tvam Vishanti, they enter you. And Kechid Bhitaha, the few who are really scared. Scared, Bhaya. See, we need the Bhaya when we, for the fact that, we all might be quite capable of undermining the sense of our purpose, right? We all have a purpose in our life, and we tend to dilute that purpose of our life. And when we have little bit of realization that, there is a dilution happening to our purpose, that is where the bhaya comes. And kechid bhitaha pranjalayah, with folded hands, grinanti, they adore you, they do your worship. And that is what he explained in the 8th chapter also. Uh, you know, Yadichantaha brahmacharyam charanti. To desire the real Bhagavad Bhava, we have to perform that austere penances, brahmacharya. Right? So bhita, and when we get the realization that, we are not doing enough, like we all do binge watching of Netflix, right? We all do binge drinking in a pub. We are all wasting time. We all have the tendency to waste time. And when we realize that in this urge to waste time, we are diluting our purpose of this divine creation, that is where the bhiti, the bhaya should come. And when we get that bhiti, we become pranjalayah, we become folded hands, offering ourselves to the Bhagavan. Oh Bhagavan, help me, I will offer myself to you. And when we offer ourselves to him, what we do, essentially, what we should do essentially is that brahmacharya. So I think what he explained in the 8th chapter, or few other chapters also, that 8th chapter shloka is just a quick summary. But here, Arjuna, in the Vishwarupa, he sees this happening. All the Surasiddha Sangaha, like Surasangaha, Tvam Vishanti, Veda, no, these Vitaraga Tvam Vishanti, Vitaraga Surasangaha Tvam Vishanti, they are part of you now, they have entered you. Kechid Maharshi, no, Maharshaya, Maharshi Siddha Sangaha, no, Swasti itu Uktva, Pushkalabihi Sutibihi Tvam Stuvanti, no, Veda Vidaha Vadanti, like, these great rishis, who are well known, well versed with all the Veda Vakyas, Siddha Sanghas, they praise you. They keep talking about you. They keep spreading the glories about you. And some who are bhitaha, kechid bhitaha, pranjalayah grananti. And those who have got the realization and get scared with that realization, they fold their hands. Pranjali is basically, sashtanga. They offer everything of their life unto you. The Sashtanga, when we say, Manasa, Urasa, Shirasa, my head is to you, my chest is to you, my heart is to you, my, Pada, Pani, my Janu, like, my knees, my legs, my feet, everything is to you. Right? So, the Sashtanga, we offer from all different possible dimensions, we offer to you. Pranjalayaha Grananti, they offer to you. When they get the bhaya of the purpose of this creation, the Prakriti, where we keep wasting our time doing some frivolous activities. When we have that realization, when we get the bhaya, such people are offering themselves to you, O Krishna. He is now explaining, hey Mahatman, I see all of these in you, in this Vishwarupa. Right? What does the Aurobindo interpretation say? The companies of gods enter you, the afraid adoring, no, not the afraid adoring. Some afraid adoring people are worshipping you, right? And the rishis and siddhas are saying swasti and then singing your praises. Okay, I think there is some missing link in the English translation. In the Hindi interpretation, ये देवताओं के समूह आप में ही प्रवेश कर रहे हैं, कोई कोई देवता, not देवता, केचित भीता, some others, कोई और भयभीत होकर हाथ जोड़े हुए आपकी स्तुति कर रहे हैं, और महर्षि और सिद्धों के समुदाय शांति हो, कल्याण हो, ऐसे कहते हुए अनेक प्रकार के स्तुति वचनों से आपकी स्तुति कर रहे हैं, हे महात्मन. I think, yeah, that's the thing. But the Kechit Bhita, some afraid devatas is not a bad interpretation either. Because among the devatas are also, there are constant tendencies of erring among the devatas also. That's why they get relegated, they get shapa, all of these things keep happening. Okay, with that we move on to the next shloka. Shloka number 22. रुद्रादित्या वसवो ये च स विश्वेश्विनौ मरुतश्चोष्मपाश्च गन्धर्वयक्षासुरसिद्धसङ्घाः वीक्षन्ते त्वां विस्मिताश्चैव सर्वे. रुद्रादित्या वसवो ये च साध्याः विश्वेश्विनौ मरुतश्चोष्मपाश्च गन्धर्वयक्षासुरसिद्धसङ्घाः वीक्षन्ते त्वां विस्मिताश्चैव सर्वे. Right? Padacheda, Rudra, Adityaha, Vasavaha, Ye cha Sadhyaha, Vishwe Ashwino Marutaha cha Ushmapaha cha, Gandharva Yakshaha, Asura Siddha Sanghaha, Vikshante Tvam Vismitaha cha, Eva Sarve. There's some Padacheda, right? There are some sandhis also in between. So we unjumble these words and put them into a proper sentence. ये रुद्र आदित्याः वसवः साध्याः विश्वे अश्विनौ च मरुतः च उष्मपाः च गन्धर्व यक्ष असुर सिद्ध संगाः च Sarve vismitaha eva tvam vikshante. Everyone is ultimately looking at him. Vikshante, tvam vikshante. Who are the people that Arjuna is calling? Ye, those who are Rudras, the Ekadasha Rudras, or more than that, Ekadasha, right? There are thousands of Rudras. There is a Shiva Sahasranama, right? But in the Rudra, we should also understand one thing. There is a quality that Bhagavan had, relate to Arjuna. Shankaraha, the Shankaratva, Sham Karoti, the one who brings in the Shamata, right? That Shamkaratva. So those Rudras, those Adityas have the Vishnutva. Adityanam Aham Vishnu, right? So those tattvas we need to remember. Those tattvas from the 10th chapter also we need to keep in mind when we look at Rudra, Aditya, Vasavaha. Vasavas are the Ashtavasus. In that Pavaka, he said, Pavaka, the Agni, right? Anala. So Dhara, Dhruva, Soma, Ahaha, Anila, Anala, Pratyusha, Prabhasa. These are the Ashtavasus. Right? Sadhyas are the some celestial beings, right? Sadhya. Vishwe is the Vishwadeva, right? Vaishwanara, Vishwe, the universal collectively of the divine person, Vaishwadeva. Vaishwadeva Baliharana we perform, right? Vishwadeva is basically one more form of the Agni, the one who helps us digest. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha. Pachamyannam Chaturvidham is something that we heard, right? So that's the Vishwadeva. Vishwadeva, again, Vishwa is also all pervading, right? He's spread everywhere. The universal collectivity of the divine powers, fosterers of the man and the upholders of the effort in the work. This is some opinion coming from this website, but this is beautiful opinion. Right? Vishwadeva. Again, Vishwadeva, there are some Upanishads also explaining that, but within the Bhagavad-Gita, we started this journey through the 15th chapter. So the one who really, really helps us digest everything, right? Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva, that's the Vishwadeva. Ashvino, the two Ashwini Devatas, basically Prana, Apana, right? So the breath, the passage, the passage in the nostrils, that's the Ashwini Devatas. Basically, the ones who really take care of our health, Ashwini Devatas. Again, the Ekadasha Rudra, Ekadasha Rudra, Dvadasha Aditya, Ashtavasus, and the two Ashwini Devatas. Now, together they give us the 33 Devatas, right? And a few other beings also. And the Marutganas are the 49 Maruts, right? Marutganas. And Marichi is the Prachodana Shakti, the regulatory power. So when we think of Maruta, there is also regulatory power, all the Maruts. And Ushmapaha, the Pitris, right? Ushmapa is basically the, see, when we offer something to the Pitrus, the Pindas, basically hot water. There is steamed thing, right? That is what the Pitrus consume. Ushma is the hot offering. The Paha are the Pati, like the ones who consume them. Ushmapaha, the ones who consume that hot steaming Pinda, those things. The Pitrus, basically Pitrus, all the departed ancestors, Ushmapaha. And the deified, they become one with the Bhagavan. They become the deity. When we do the Pitru Karyas, there is a transition that happens, Preta Moksho Prado Bhava, Pitru Moksho Pado Bhava. So, Preta to Pitru, so that's where they become the deified. They become the deities. They get that semi power, right? So they have some special position within the Bhagavan. Gandharva Yaksha Asura Siddha Sangaha. Again, Gandharva, Chitraratha is again somebody who brings in different amusing kind of happiness. Yaksha Asura, again, Vittesha. There is a quality called Vittesha. Asura Siddha Sangaha. Siddha Sangaha, again, Siddhanam Kapilaha Munihi, again, the one who brings in happiness. So we can reflect upon some of the Vibhuti Rupas from the 10th chapter also. But nonetheless, Gandharvas, Yakshas, Asuras, Siddhas, all of them, their Sangha, their collective. Sarve eva, they all verily, vismitaha, amused, astounded, tvam vikshanti, they are perceiving you, they are looking at you. At the end of the day, we are all looking at him. Whatever we see, we are looking at one amsha of him. And Arjuna is seeing them all being completely bemused and looking at this Vishwarupa. right? Let us see what Aurobindo interpretation says. The Rudras, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadhyas, the Vishwas, the Ashwinis, the Maruts, the Ushmapas, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, the Siddhas, they all have their eyes fixed on you in amazement. Very simplistic, right? But again, as I said, it's always good to kind of look at the tattva behind all of this, and that was what was explained by the Bhagavan in the Vibhuti Rupa, right? So doing some reflection also helps us. With that, we move on to the 23rd shloka. But nonetheless, see, all of these Vibhuti Rupas were explained by Bhagavan. Now Arjuna is looking at them direct through the Vishwarupa and he's confirming back. Right? The next shloka, shloka number 23. Harihi Om. Okay. Rupam mahatte bahuvaktra netram mahabaho bahubahurupadam bahudaram bahudam shrakaralam drishtva loka pravyathitas. Rupam mahatte bahuvaktra netram mahabaho bahubahurupadam bahudaram bahudam shrakaralam drishtva loka pravyathitas. Again, bahu udara, bahu damshtra, right? Aneka, ananta, now bahu. But nonetheless, we see the padacheda for this shloka. Rupam mahat te bahu vaktra netram mahabaho bahu bahu uru padam bahu udaram bahu damshtra karalam drishtva lokah pravyathitaha tatha aham. I think we saw the Deshati Tattva, Kalati Tattva. I think now we see the Gunati Tattva, right? We will see what the Anvaya sounds like. Hey Mahabaho, right? Krishna is being called as Mahabaho. Well, Arjuna will also be called Mahabaho several times later, but now Krishna is being called as Mahabaho by Arjuna because he is the ultimate, uh, you know, uh, bharta, like he's the one who's ultimately supporting everything, ultimate dharanakar, like he's the one who's ultimately holding all of this, supporting everything. Hey Mahabaho, te bahu vaktra netram bahu bahurupadam bahu udaram bahu damshtra karalam mahat rupam drishtva lokaha pravyaha tatha aham api pravyathitah. Right? Asmi, san, no, sma, all of these we can add something like that. I am. Aham. Aham, it implies. What does that mean? We click on the dictionary. Hey Mahabaho, oh mighty armed one, which basically is the allegory for the ultimate supporter of everything. You are the ultimate support for everything. Te bahuvaktra netram pashyami drishtva. Having seen your bahuvaktra netram, your many face and the eyes, many mouths and the eyes. Vaktra is the field of the play, netra is the perceiver of the play, right? All the activities of the universe. Vaktra is the field in which all the activities are happening, and netra is the one that is perceiving all of the sense organs. No, Akshi is, Sahasrakshi, Sahasraksha, Aksha can be the eyes literally, can be in general the sense organ. That's what the Shayanacharya commentary on the Purusha Sukta Rigveda, tells. When it says Sahasraksha, it's not necessarily thousand eyes. It is infinite sense organs. Right? Sahasra is infinite, countless. Hey Mahabaho, te bahuvaktra netram drishtva, having seen your many, millions, countless face, mouth, and the eyes. Bahu bahurupadam, bahu is the, the arm which is supportive of everything. Uru is the thigh. Thigh is signifying action. When we have to move around, walk around, we need the uru. Right? That's the typical trait of a Vaishya, right? When you have to keep moving from one place to the other, do the tilling of the land, all of these things, you need to have strong thighs, right? Padam, and also the feet, right? Bahuru Padam. Now, all of these things can also be depictive of the Varnashrama. Bahu is Kshatriya, Uru is the Vaishya, Pada is the Shudra. That is where the, Netra, Vaktra is the Brahmana. We can look at that, the fourfold order is also coming, right? But nonetheless, uh, um, yeah. Bahu, Uru, Padam, all the different gunas are being called out here. That's the Gunati Tattva. Bahu, Aneka, Ananta, gunas are being called out. Pada is where we have to toil to get the work done, right? So all the various actions that are, and all of these are basically Bhagavan's Pada, Bhagavan's Bahu, Bhagavan's Uru, Bhagavan's Netra, right? And Bahu, Udaram is where the digestion happens and the energy gets applied, right, to feed either the Shabdatmaka Prapancha or the Rupatmaka Prapancha. We need the engine to which the fuel has to be fed in, and the fuel has to get combusted. The combustible fuel, right? Only then the energy comes out, right? Otherwise, life doesn't run. So, Udara is the Homakunda in which the life is being run, and you are the Bahu Udara. Like for everyone, we all have our tiny, tiny Udara which feeds both our Shabdatmaka. See, our Omkara, the A, has to come from the gut, has to come from the stomach. If it doesn't come from the stomach, it is not of use. Many people have the tendency to, throw the sound out only from above the throat. So that doesn't sound nice, right? The real, when you get into the Vedic practices, I think Sridharacharya is here. He was here. He can explain that better. The actual sound, even for the Shabdatmaka Prapancha, the Shabda has to come from the Udara. And for our Rupatmaka Prapancha, in our, this Chikirshu Jagat also, for our energy, it's the stomach which feeds the energy, where the digestion is happening. So Udara is where everything gets digested, and that's exactly what we saw earlier also. Aneka Bahu Daravaktra Netram, right? Few shlokas earlier. Aneka, Ananta, no Bahu. Bahu Damstrakaralam, many terrible teeth, sharp teeth. Damstrakaralam is basically the sharp teeth, canine types. Mahat Rupam Drishta, you are having seen this great form of yours. Lokaha Pravyaditaha, the world is shaken. Okay, basically, the world is not seeing anything. Arjuna is seeing it, but there is such a terrifying reality in front of us, terrific reality in front of us. And pravyatitaha. Earlier also we used the same word, right? Basically, the world is worked up in this entire form of yours, in this rupa of yours, in this Vishwa of yours. The Vishwa itself is him. And tatha aham api, and also I am also worked up now. I am also getting worked up looking at your divine form, is what he is trying to say. Let's see what Aurobindo translation says. Seeing your great form of having many mouths, many eyes, O mighty armed one, of your many arms, your many thighs, your many feet, and many bellies, and terrible teeth, okay, the world and its nations are shaken up in anguish, and so am I. Right? That's the interpretation. But again, Bahu, Ananta, Aneka, Bahu, Udara, Vaktra, Netra, all of these things signify something. This shloka perhaps is Gaunatmaka, Gunati Tattva of the Bhagavan. The previous one was the Kalati Tattva, and the one before that was the Deshati Tattva. All pervading across the space, all pervading across the time, all pervading across all the characteristics. Okay, with that, we move on to the next shloka, shloka number 24. Nabhasprusham deeptamanekavarnam vyattananam deeptavishalanetram drishtva hitvam pravyathitantaratma dhrutim na vindami shamancha vishnu. नभस्पृशं दीप्तमनेकवर्णं व्यात्ताननं दीप्तविशालनेत्रं दृष्ट्वा हि त्वां प्रव्यथितान्तरात्मा धृतिं न विन्दामि शमं च विष्णु. Now there is another transformation happening in Arjuna. The Padacheda, Nabah Sprusham, Deeptam Aneka Varnam, Vyatta Ananam, Deepta Vishala Netram, Drishtva Hitvam, Pravyathita Antaratma, Dhritim na Vindami, Shamam Chana Vindami, He Vishnu. Anvaya, He Vishnu, Nabah sprusham deeptam anekavarnam vyatta ananam deepta vishala netram tvam drishtva pravyatita antaratma dhritim na vindami shamanchana vindami. What does that mean? He, hey Vishnu, definitely, oh Vishnu. He's calling him Vishnu. Vishnu. Vishnu is that Vyaptatva, right? In three different dimensions. And that Sambodhana makes so much sense. After the previous shloka, where we saw the third level of Vyaptatva of the Bhagavan, now he's calling him Vishnu. And that's the first thing in Vishnu Sahasranama, right? Vishvam Vishnu. Like, the difference between Vishwa and Vishnu is that Vishwa is physically pervading, only the space. Vishnu is the three levels of the pervasiveness. And now he's calling him, hey Vishnu. See, Arjuna is getting better and better and better, right? Amazing. The transformation is so unique, so glaring. Nabha sprusham, touching the sky. Nabhascha prithivim chaiva, we saw that, right? The first chapter. Nabha is the Akasha, the one that is touching the sky. Deeptam, blazing, aneka varnam, with multiple hues, many hued. Vyatta ananam, with opened anana, face, mouth. Deepta open base is basically the field of play is always open, right? This Jagat never sleeps, right? Aneka varnam, vyatta ananam, deepta vishala netram, with enormous glowing eyes or burning eyes. Vishala is wide, right? Netra is the eye, but also the sense organ. Basically, the sense organs are so wide. At the beginning of the chapter, Arjuna calls him Kamala Patraksha. Kamala Patra itself is a very wide thing, right? Patra. And Aksha is the sense organ. Now he's telling, no, hey Vishala Netram, Deepta Vishala Netram, you have, illuminating wide sensory abilities. That's the way we can translate this, right? Tvam drishtva, having seen you with all these qualities. Pravyathita antaratma, the shaken up antaratma. My antaratma is completely shaken up now. Pravyathita. Shamam cha na vindami. Dhritim na vindami. Shamam cha na vindami. I can't stay quiet. I can't find peace. I have lost my composure. Dhriti, I have lost my fortitude. Right? Dhritim na vindami. I can't gain fortitude. I can't gain shamatva. I can't gain peace. Right? This was exactly where he was at the beginning of the Bhagavad-Gita. Right? He had lost his composure. Now he is losing composure for a different thing altogether. We will see why. That bhaya, and I think I jumped the line a little bit. Bhaya is primarily when we get the realization that we are not doing our duties enough. That is where the bhaya has to come. We are not doing the Bhagavad Karya enough. Every minute of our existence should be for the Bhagavad Karya. We have to keep relentlessly doing our duty. Work is worship. Right? We have to constantly worship Him through our ordained Vihita Karma. The minute we fail to do that, that is where the bhaya has to come. And the minute we do that, dhritim na vindhami, I can't see the stability in me. Shamam chana vindami he Vishnu. I can't even get peace right now. I have to get back to action. Right? That's the only way I can gain back my composure. Okay, the Aurobindo interpretation for this. I see you touching the heaven, blazing of many hues, with open mouths and enormous glaring eyes, radiant eyes. Why burning? I don't know. Let's keep the burning away. Radiant eyes. Troubled and pain. In pain is my Atma, Antaratma within me. And I find no peace. Shamam, gladness. Okay, peace and happy are together, always come together. Ashantasya kutah sukham is something that we have heard in the second chapter. So wherever we talk about shanti, sukha has to come. So peace leads to gladness. So shamatva, shama is used, interchangeably often to indicate peace, tranquility, and also the happiness, because one leads to the other. So find no peace, no gladness. That's the interpretation in this website, which is right, right? We are no one to offer certificates of rightness. These are great Bhagavatas, but I think we are only trying to reconcile what is it trying to say. Okay, so that's about this shloka. We move on to the next one. We click next on the web link. Shloka number 25. दंष्ट्राकरालानि च ते मुखानि दृष्ट्वैव कालानलसन्निभानि दिशो न जाने न लभे च शर्म प्रसीद देवेश जगन्निवास. These are amazing expressions coming from Arjuna. Damshtrakaralani chate mukhani dristvaiva kala nala sannibhani disho na jani na labhecha sharma prasida devesha jagannivasa. Multiple adjectives to call him, exclaim to him, sambodhana. He's calling him through multiple different nice adjectives. Let's see the padacheda. Damshtrakaralani chate mukhani दृष्ट्वा एव काल अनल सन्निभानि दिशः न जाने न लभे च शर्म प्रसीद देवे वासा जगन्निवासा. Let's look at the Anvaya. Hey Devesha, hey Jagannivasa. I think that's the Sambodhana, right? Hey Devesha, hey Jagannivasa. Te damshtra karalani kala anala sannibhani mukhani cha drishtva dishaha na jane sharma eva cha na labhe. Hey Devesha, prasida. Right? Prasida, prasida yatu. Help me, bless me. That's the kind of an impression. Let's see what it means. We'll click on dictionary. Hey, Devesha Jagannivasa. Hey, Devataon ka Deva. Devesha, Devanam Isha. He is the Isha. He is the king of the Devas. Jagannivasa. He is the Jagat Nivasa. He is the ultimate abode of the entire Jagat. Sabhumim Vishwato Vrutva, right? Atyatishtat Dashangulam. He is beyond, even after encompassing the entire Vishwa. He Jagannivasa, he Devesha, te damshtra karalani drishtva. Having seen your sharp, teeth, damshtra karani, terrible sharp teeth. Kala anala sannibhani mukhani. The mouth with, which signifies the kala, the death, and anala, right, and the fire. Kala is the time. Time is the ultimate healer, right? Kala anala, kala anala, or the kala anala can be one word. The anala which brings in the kala, the anala of the kala, right, which is the fire of the destruction, the destructive fire. Sannibhani mukhani, signifying that faces that are the kala anala, sannibhani, and your damshtra karalin drishtva, having seen your sharp, terrifying teeth or tusk and your blazing mouth of destruction, dishaha na jane. I can't, I have lost my sense of direction. Na jane dishaha. I don't know the directions. Sharma eva cha na jane. Sharma eva cha na labhe. I can't even get the peace. I can't even obtain peace within me. Hey Devesha, hey Jagannivasa, Prasida, oh bless me. Be pleased. Or Prasida is basically please give me Sat. See, Prasada, Prasanna, they have pra is the prakasha or the prakrishta. Top prakrishta is utkrishta. Top or prakasha is the illumination. And sat, prasida is basically grant me, be pleased or please me, something like that. Let's see the Aurobindo interpretation. As I look upon your mouth, terrible with teeth, sharp teeth of destruction, your face is like the fire of death and time. I have lost the sense of direction and I find no peace. Turn your heart to grace, Prasida, O God, Devesha, O refuge of all the worlds, Jagannivasa. We say that, no? Tasyodarasta jagata sadamanda sandaswananda tushtava pusho piramaaramasya. So he is the Jagadudara. He is the Udara, the stomach, which hosts, which protects the entire Jagat at the time of Laya. So he is the Jagannivasa. The Laya happens, everything takes refuge under him. Right? So we go on to the next shloka, shloka number 26. अमी च त्वां धृतराष्ट्रस्य पुत्राः सर्वे सहैवावनिपालसङ्घैः भीष्मो द्रोणः सूतपुत्रस्तथासौ सहास्मदीयैरपि योधमुख्यैः अमी च त्वां धृतराष्ट्रस्य पुत्राः सर्वे सहैवावनिपालसङ्घैः भीष्मो द्रोणः सूतपुत्रस्तथासौ सहास्मदीयैरपि योधमुख्यैः. We will see the padacheda. Ami chatvam dhritarashtrasya putraः सर्वे सह एव अवनिपाल संघैः भीष्मः द्रोणः सूतपुत्रः तथा असौ सह अस्मदीयैः अपि योधमुख्यैः. इस श्लोक का अन्वय अगले श्लोक में निहित है. So this is only one part of it. The full part of the shloka gets completed in the next shloka. But nonetheless, we will see what the Anvaya says. Ami sarve eva dhritarashtrasya putraha avanipala sanghaihi saha tvam bhishmaha द्रोणः तथा च असौ सूतपुत्रः अस्मदीयैः योधमुख्यैः सह. So basically, he's explaining different people. Ami, these. We click on dictionary, right? Ami, these, those. Sarve eva, all the people indeed, all the warriors. He's basically looking at warriors. Who are the warriors he's looking at? Dhritarashtra putraha, Dhritarashtrasya putraha, the sons of Dhritarashtra, all the Kauravas, along with Sangaihi saha, along with Avanipala Sangaihi saha, along with the pack of all the Avanipalas, all the kings. Avani is the Bhumi, right? Bhumipala, Bhupalas. Okay, so all the kings. Tvam Vishanti comes in the next shloka, but he has given here because Tvam Vishanti, they enter you. Dronaha, Tatha Aso Sutaputraha Cha, Bhishma, Drona, and the Sutaputra also. Asmadiyehi Yodha Mukhyehi Saha, along with many Mukhya Yodhas of my group as well, on my side as well, of our side as well. Asmadiya, Asmat is mine, our. Asmadiyehi, of our Yodha Mukhyehi Saha, along with the Mukhya Yodhas of our side, Api. Okay. Tvaramana hati, Damshtakarani, Bhayanakani is from the next shloka. But we will see. Tvaramanaha is Twarant, hastening, quickly. Tvaramanaha, Twarant. They Damshtakarani, entering your sharp teeth, Bhayanakani, fearful. Basically, these are coming from the next shloka. But basically, he's explaining that Bhishma, Drona, all the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with all the various kings that have allied with them in the war, and also various chief warriors in our side. What about them is what we will see in the next shloka. But we had jumped the line. In this shloka, we had jumped the line in the order. But nonetheless, we'll go back to Aurobindo interpretation. The sons of Dhritarashtra, with all the multitudes of kings and heroes, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, along with the foremost warriors on our side too. Dash, dash, dash. Okay, the interpretation from the next shloka is are hastening into your terrible jaws. But we will see that later. Right? So let's quickly see the next shloka. It reads like this. Vaktrani te tvaramana vishanti damshtra karalani bhayanakani kechidvilagna dashanantar sandrishyante churnitairuttamangai. Vaktrani te tvaramana vishanti. Now he's Vaktrani te tvaramana vishanti. Now he's telling all those people who were explained in the previous shloka. Vishanti, enter, pravishanti, praveshanti, pravishanti, vishanti is enter. Okay. Vaktrani te tvaramana vishanti, damshtra karalani bhayanakani, kechid vilagnaha dashanantareshu, sandrishyante churnitairuttamangai. The padacheda, Vaktrani te tvaramana vishanti, damshtra karalani bhayanakani, kechid vilagnaha dashana antareshu Sandrushyante churnitaihi uttamangaihi. This is very, very graphical. Let's see the Anvaya. Tvaramanaha tani sarve. All the people mentioned in the previous shloka, right? Amanipala sangaihi sarve dhritarashtrasya putraha, along with Bhishmaha, Dronaha, Sutaputraha, and also Asmadiyehi mukhya yodhaihi saha, along with many important warriors of our class. Tvaramanaha vishantite. Damshtrakaralani, Bhayanakani Vaktrani. केचित् चूर्णितैः उत्तम अंगैः दशनान्तरेषु विलग्नाः सन्दृश्यन्ते. सम्यक् दृश्यन्ते. What does that mean? We'll click on the dictionary. Te sarve te vaktrani vishanti. They enter into your face. They enter into your jaws. They enter into your mouth. Vaktra is face or mouth. They enter your face. What type of a face? The faces, I think that is missing in this thing because they have added to the previous shloka. Okay. Damshtra karalani bhayanakani. The bhayanaka vaktra, the fearful face, which is loaded with sharp teeth. Damshtra karalani. Sharp, terrifying feet. Karala, we say, right? Karala damshtra. Sharp, terrifying feet, loaded with sharp, terrifying feet. That kind of a mouth they all enter. Te Vaktrani, and not just enter immediately, Turant, like they are all entering in haste. They are all entering, right? And then what does he say? Okay, Kechit, some Churnitaihi Uttama Angahi, crushed with their bones and supreme limbs. Their supreme limbs are completely crushed and Dashana Antareshu Vilagnaha, and they are stuck in between your teeth, your sharp teeth. Dashana Antareshu, between your sharp teeth, I can see some of them being completely crushed in their organs, supreme organs, and they are stuck in between your teeth. Sandrishyante are seen, but samyak, some is samyak, sampurnata. I can see properly, like drishyante. They are seen very, very nicely. They are very, very properly seen. That's sandrishyante. Drishyante, sandrishyante, there is a difference, right? Samvada, vada, there is a difference. So when we add some, it's a refined sight. So he is able to see vividly, right? Very clearly, Arjuna is able to see the picture. I can see everyone entering your mouth. Turanthi, like Twaramana Vishanti, into your terrifying mouth. Like all on their side, on our side, people on both the sides, the great warriors on both the sides, I can see them enter. Turant, they're all entering, right? I think the explanation of how they enter perhaps comes in the next couple of shlokas, Yatha Nadina. But it is 9:30. We will reserve those shlokas for the next week. With that, we conclude now. It's 9:35 now. We have exceeded by 4 minutes from the usual time we allot. This is something that we do every Saturday. From Sunday to Saturday, we do guided chanting of Bhagavad-Gita with an intention to help each other get better with our ability to recite the shlokas. And once we attain some reasonable amount of Vak Shuddhi, it is beautiful to do the Artha Chintana. And this is what we have been doing since December 21 or January 22. Right, since last year, it's been a little over a year that we have been running these weekly Pratipadartha Chandrika rooms. And we started the daily guided chanting about 4 or 5 months before we started the Artha Chintana, so that we develop some bit of Vak Shuddhi, clarity of the shlokas before we embark on the journey of the Artha Chintana, because that is needed, right? Without knowing the shlokas when we do Artha Chintana, we will not learn Bhagavad Gita. We will only learn the translation in an English language or some other language, right? Which will not have the depth that is truly captured in the Bhagavad Gita, right? So this is something that we do. So we continue our journey tomorrow in our 6 o'clock everyday room of daily chanting. We will continue with a new cycle starting chapters 1 and 2. And once we complete chapter 17 and 18 on Saturday, like how we did today we completed the recitation at around 7:10. And from 8 o'clock to about 9:30, we do the looking at the Artha Chintana. Again, some of us on the stage are only nimitta matra. We are only playing an incidental role. We are only taking the lead in terms of reading the scripts and things like that, and then sharing some insights from some study that we have done otherwise. But this is not the end in itself. We do welcome people on stage and share your views on the shlokas that we have seen today. So now we keep the room open. Anybody interested to share your views, please do come up on stage and share your views. We would be very happy to have that. At the end of the day, it helps each other get a little more richer than what we came into the room with. So with that, we keep the room open. People on the stage, Sudhaji, Rameshji, and people on the audience, please to come up on stage. We would love to have you here. Again, resume from shloka number. What's the shloka number? We have to start at 27. Oh, we have done 10 or 28. Shloka number 28, is it? Yatha Nadinam, 28.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we start from shloka number 28 next Saturday. Please to spread the word to those one or two people where we, that we all know who are looking for a space like this where we can improve our basics of Bhagavad Gita. This is not entire. The rider that we put as our Mangala shloka at the beginning of the session is Gitartham Vakshyami Leshatah. That's what our acharyas have told us. They can only speak a little of the Gita Artha. Nobody can speak the entirety of Bhagavad Gita. Even those people who say it's Bhagavad Gita as it is, it can't be never be as it is. There is much more to Bhagavad Gita than any attempt can try to put it in. So we try to get ourselves with the fundamentals of it, not the end of it, and that's why I keep reminding ourselves that this is not the end in itself. This is perhaps the beginning. This is just a launch pad for our Adhyatma journey going forward. So with that, we will now try to conclude the room. Please join me if possible in a small Jai Ghoshti in the name of our Gita Charya, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. 3, 2, 1. Namaste Vasudevaya Preyasame Priyottama Samasta Guna Sampurna Nirdosha Nandadayine Mukopi Yat Prasadena Mukunda Shayanayate Raja Rajayate Rikto Raghavendram Tamashraye Bharati Ramanamukhi Pranantarata Shri Gopala Krishna Priyatam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Have a beautiful weekend, everyone. Have a beautiful week ahead. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai
Jai
Shri
Shri
Krishna.
Krishna.
Jai Jai Shri Krishna. Alkayanayate.